Imagine a powerful billionaire, broken by his daughter's paralysis, walking into his mansion only to find his trusted black chauffeur holding her hand, dancing with her. The music? Silent. The movement? Impossible, or so he thought. What followed shattered every belief he had about ability, love, and humanity. Before you scroll, subscribe to our channel now for more jaw-dropping true stories that will leave you speechless. Because this one, it might just change how you see the world. It was a rainy Friday morning in Connecticut when Richard Langston, the multi-billionaire tech mogul known for his iron rule and emotional distance, boarded his private jet after a grueling 3-week business deal overseas. All he wanted was peace and silence, two things he rarely found anymore since the accident that left his only daughter, Emily, paralyzed from the waist down. A year ago, a reckless drunk driver had slammed into her car on her way home from a college dance audition. Richard had built empires with his mind, but not even his billions could buy back her movement or her smile. Since the accident, Emily had become withdrawn, refusing physical therapy, crying herself to sleep every night, and resenting her once doting father for being emotionally unavailable during her darkest hours. He tried everything: specialists from Switzerland, robotic exoskeletons from Japan, stem cell trials in Germany, but nothing worked. Nothing reached her. That is, until Jamal Carter had been hired merely as a driver 6 months ago. A quiet, respectful 28-year-old black man from Harlem. Jamal had served in the Army, worked as a dance instructor for inner-city kids, and had a resume that Richard barely skimmed before assigning him to chauffeur duty. To Richard, Jamal was just another employee, someone paid to show up on time and stay out of sight. But to Emily, Jamal became the one flicker of joy in her bleak existence. Jamal had a warmth that couldn't be taught, a kindness that disarmed walls built from pain, and a habit of humming old Motown tunes whenever he thought no one was listening. Emily, often wheeled out to the garden for fresh air, began smiling at his tunes. Then she asked questions. Then they talked. Then he told her stories of kids he taught to dance with crutches, with braces, with missing limbs. He told her movement wasn't just physical, it was soul, rhythm, belief. And for the first time since the crash, she asked him, "Could you teach me to dance, even if I can't walk?" Jamal paused. He looked her dead in the eye and said, "Princess, you never stopped dancing. You just forgot the music." Over the next few months, while Richard was globetrotting for deals, Jamal and Emily created their own rhythm. She started upper body stretches. She used resistance bands. He played Stevie Wonder, Aretha, Sam Cooke. She moved her arms, her neck swayed to the beat in her wheelchair. He choreographed routines designed for seated dancers. And then, one magical morning, she felt a tingle in her toes. The doctor said it was impossible. Her spine was severed. But miracles don't always ask permission. Jamal refused to let her give up. With each passing week, her movements grew. What doctors couldn't explain, Jamal called the rhythm of faith. One day, he lifted her gently from the chair and held her upright. Supported entirely in his arms, she took a shaky half-step. They both cried. Still, they kept it a secret. Richard had made it clear, no false hope. No dreams that couldn't be delivered in a lab or funded through research. Emily knew her father wouldn't believe it. But on that rainy Friday, when Richard arrived early without alerting anyone, everything changed. He stepped through the glass doors of the indoor conservatory and froze. There, in a pool of sunlight and laughter, was his daughter, standing, barefoot, arms wrapped around Jamal's shoulders. Dancing slowly, clumsily, but dancing. There was no music. Only the sound of her giggles and his quiet encouragement. At first, Richard thought he was hallucinating. Then rage filled him. Who was this man holding his daughter like that? Why hadn't security alerted him? Why was this employee touching her? He stormed in, his voice booming. "What the hell is going on here?" Emily startled and collapsed, slightly into Jamal's arms, but Jamal didn't flinch. He held her, steady and calm. "Sir," Jamal said firmly, "she's learning to dance again." Richard's face turned purple. "You're fired. Get your hands off my daughter." But Emily, paralyzed, broken, forgotten, Emily screamed, "Nitrogen monoxide." For the first time in months, she found her voice. "You weren't here, Dad." He was. "He believed in me. You gave up on me." "He didn't." Richard stood frozen. Jamal helped her sit, kissed her hand respectfully, and stepped back. "Sir, I understand your anger," he said, "but I've never disrespected your daughter. I taught her how to move with her soul when medicine failed her body, and she's stronger than both of us now." Richard couldn't speak. He looked at Emily, her glowing cheeks, her trembling fingers, her hopeful eyes, and for the first time, he wept. Days passed. Then weeks. Richard asked Jamal to stay not as a driver, but as Emily's official movement therapist. He apologized. Publicly, privately, and more than anything, he listened. He watched as Emily took 2 steps on her own, then 10. Then a full choreographed performance in a gala Richard held in her honor. But that's not where the shock ends. It was at that gala, when the press came flooding in, that the real twist unraveled. A reporter from the Times recognized Jamal. "Wait," she whispered to her team. "That's Jamal Carter. He saved 3 kids from a burning school in Harlem. Why is he a driver?" Turns out, Jamal's record of heroism had been buried after he'd been falsely accused of assault years ago by a wealthy developer's son, charges that were quietly dropped. But the stain remained. He couldn't find work. Couldn't teach. Again. Richard, upon learning this, used every legal and media connection to clear Jamal's name and reopen his teaching license. Soon, Jamal was running his own inclusive dance academy, funded in full by Richard Langston. The academy welcomed all: blind dancers, amputees, wheelchair-bound warriors. Emily became its ambassador. But the most beautiful moment? At the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Richard stood before hundreds and said, "I once believed in what money could buy. But this man, this friend, taught me to believe in what hearts can build." I caught him dancing with my daughter. What I didn't realize is he helped her learn to live again. The crowd stood in thunderous applause. The video went viral. Millions watched it worldwide. Jamal and Emily became symbols of healing and hope. And one quiet night, as the stars blinked above and Motown hummed from an old radio, Jamal asked her softly, "May I have this dance?" And this time, she didn't need help standing up.